Ah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to MyTimeTV.live and the Art of Grace Publishing House and me, Brigid Holder, are taking over Adaire's show. So thank you so much, Adaire. Adaire is in the background doing all the production for me, so it's so good. Thank you so much, Adaire, for having us. And we're going live on Amazon, and we're going LinkedIn, Facebook Live, and we're also live through the Binge Network, through 50 stations in the Binge Network television. So thank you so much, Adaire, for hosting for us today and having us here. We are here to talk about the F Motherhood Book and all the women who have been in this. We've been doing a series, and this is the last of the series. And I'm really pleased that we put this book out to the world to be able to show women that there are many different ways to do motherhood, and your way is the best way. It's an opportunity for mothers, new mothers and current mothers, to learn from others in the way that they have done their motherhood and the choices that they've made along the way. And our first guest today is beautiful Sara Davy. Now, Sara is a master NLP practitioner, a timeline therapist, and a hypnotherapist. Sara always knew that she wanted to be a mother, and with her biological clock ticking, she decided to take matters into her own hands and produce her own child in a way that is unique, and something that I think is not talked about enough. Welcome, Sara. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Sara, tell us a little bit about your story that you share in the F Motherhood book.
Yeah, so as you said, my biological clock was ticking and I thought I wanted to have a child. It was one of the things I wanted most out of my life was to have children. So I kind of put the word out that I was going to do it through IVF. And then I had a good friend of mine offer to be a donor, and it happened through natural conception. So that's the basis for how my son came into this world. And it was really nice because it was not clinical, which I really liked the idea of that, and also a lot cheaper, and also because I knew that this is a major factor, and also because I know the father. So if any medical history was to come up and my son needed to be tested for anything down the line, I'd know that I'd be able to find that information out, rather than choosing a guy off a piece of paper and then kind of just relying on them to have integrity to tell the fertility clinic, if my son needed anything. So that was my choice. And I love, everyone's got their own way of doing it, and I fully support people that do it through fertility clinics as well. I would have done that had I not had this beautiful option presented to me. So that was just how it worked out for me. So I'm really lucky.
And, it's something that, as I said, not talked about enough, is the choice for women to be single mothers. And have you found that you have had, judgment or innuendos passed your way because you chose to be a single mother, or do people just assume that you've become a single mother due to circumstance?
No one's really asked me. I think when I did mention it in a prenatal group, we went out for a picnic, and someone said, "Oh yeah, I was wondering how it came about," but no one's really said anything. And I think a lot of people may have judged or said stuff maybe behind my back. I don't know, but it did take me a long time to come to peace with that decision before I decided to do it. There was a lot of possibly shame. There was a lot of judgment on myself, I think, for not having found the partner to do it with and for having to make that decision. I was really a little bit embarrassed about it first. So it was doing my training that helped me to come to terms with it in my own way and come to peace with it, and then be like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this, and actually make the decision. So it was probably 2 years in the making, I think, to actually get to the point of doing it, with first thinking, oh yeah, I'll do it. Oh, okay, if it gets to that point, and then like, no, I'm actually going to do it. So 2 years of mindset work to get there. So,
I applaud you for doing it, because it's something that I don't think enough women, make this choice, and then they're left without that opportunity to become a mother. It gets too late. like you said, the biological clock is ticking. So yeah, it's time. So I just want to encourage people to pop on over to Amazon. You can over to Amazon Live. The link is there for you, and you can actually purchase the book, my F Motherhood Book, and we want you to read Sara's story and learn from that and have an opportunity to see how motherhood can be done differently. Sara, participating in the book, how did you find actually sharing your story and making it public? What was that like for you?
Yeah, so at first I was like, oh, do I want to? And then I was like, no, I want to share my story because, as you say, it's important for people or women to know that they can do it on their own, and that there are other options that aren't necessarily the clinical way if they come across them. And I know other women that have found a non-clinical way as well, which is really cool. And I've supported a few people through that decision, which is awesome to be able to help them with that and make their dreams come true. Writing the story, I spoke it out first. I had a voice recorder app and I just, blurted it all out and I was like, okay. And then when I went back through it and was taking out, a bit of the fluff stuff and kind of, rereading it, I was like, oh yeah, it was really kind of empowering, I think, at the same time. And just realizing the journey I had been on to get to this point was really cool. And I had a bit of a moment where I was actually doing a birth trauma healing course. And when I was reading in the book and writing in the book about my birth trauma, I actually realized that I had dissociated before the birth because of the epidural and everything. I couldn't really feel anything. I kind of didn't feel anything emotionally as well. And I realized when I was writing that bit of the story that had actually happened. So aligned with my learning about it properly in the training and then writing it in the book, I was like, wow. So that was kind of like a aha kind of moment for me, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh,
I think it's really healing.
It is, isn't it? It's a cathartic process to share your own story.
Yeah. And I haven't really done much journaling before. It's not really something I do. So this was probably like a big kind of, journal moment to write it all out and have that kind of reflection moment.
Yeah. And I think that that's really important, that people can, perhaps if it's not in a book, that they, share their stories on social media, or they share it with their friends or their networking group or something like that, to be able to go through that process of that healing. So we have Linda with us. Linda is also an author in the book. Thank you so much. She says your story is so powerful, Sara, and Adaire is inspired. She loves what you have done. She says that you're lighting the way for others to do things differently. So that is lovely to hear as well. And
thank you.
You'll have to excuse my dog's barking. I think my gardener has turned up, and we get to hear the dogs bark at him for a bit. That's why I'm down this end of the house today, because he was coming. He normally comes on Thursday, but he came today. So anyway, Sara, is there something that you got out of the book that you would like to share with people, like things that you learned from other authors that you would like to share with people?
Yeah, I think in general the book, just there were so many stories that my heart was in it, and I don't want to share anyone else's story, obviously, but there are a couple of moments where I read it and I was just like, feeling it in the moment with these women going through what they were going through, and like the highs and the lows. I think the book for me is just, as you say, it's a way to share that, like, there's not one way to do motherhood, and we have so much judgment on ourselves and we compare ourselves so much, especially to other mums' highlight reels, and it's good to know that there are a lot of us just doing it our way and saying, like, this is where we're going to do it. It's unconventional, but it's how we're doing, and it's right for us and our family, and what's true to us. So I think all these women that have got together and just shared their story and stay true to them, I think it's awesome, and it's inspiring for all women to read and know that there's just so many different options out there, and not to compare themselves or judge themselves, because I think every mother that reads this will relate to at least one story or one part of a story in there. There'll be something, at least one minimum, that they'll be relate to and go, oh yeah, I felt that, or oh yeah, that's really inspiring or encouraging. So that's why I got on board with the project, because I thought it was going to be really empowering for us to write it, but for other mums as well. And I'm planning on dropping a couple of copies down to Women's Refuge, just so they can kind of grab the book and read it and get some inspiration from it.
Yeah. I liked what you said about the highlight reel, not comparing yourself to the highlight reel of others. Can you just dive into that a bit more?
Well, I think as mums, there's either the kind of like okay, so I just get to stay in my pajamas all day and that's, and just lays about the house with the baby. Or there's the ones that are like, right, I've got to be out doing the morning walks every morning. I've got to do the home baking. I've got to have dinner ready. I've got to have the house tidy. And then, when we're posting on social media, we're posting about our highlight reel. So we're posting all the cuddles. We're posting all the, the first steps and the milestones and the, all that kind of stuff. Whereas we're not really posting about like 3 o'clock in the morning and the baby's woken up for the 8th time or something, and you're like just trying to stay awake while you're feeding it. And we're not posting about that. We're not doing that kind of stuff. And so mums quite often will compare themselves and think, oh, I'm not getting the baking done. My house is a mess. They're looking around, they've got nappies and clothes and stuff everywhere, and they're thinking that they're not good enough because they're not what they're seeing other highlight reel mums doing. And it's just not realistic because a lot of people don't post that kind of stuff. And it's the same in business. You post about, oh, this is me speaking here or doing this, but no one really posts about the struggle days in business, what it took to get to that point. So I think it's important for mums to not compare themselves to other people's journeys because everyone's journey is so different.
Yeah, so true. And motherhood is hard, and there's not enough of that talked about. It's something that Linda has said here. That's exactly what one of my friends said. She related to bits of other stories, even when she thought she wouldn't.
Yeah.
And being true to yourself is, it's a really good message that has come out of this book is, you've got to be honest with yourself and be true to who you are as a mother. And that's the right choice to make, isn't it?
Yeah, going with your gut. And I think it's also important for us to share that with our children, is be true to themselves, right? And that's another reason why I wrote my story, and I called it Caleb's story, because I was like, it is his story, really. Like, it's our story, but it is his. It's how he came into the world, how he was, the reasons why I did it by my own and brought him in and stuff like that. So, and I wanted to be the example for him of staying true to me and just doing what I wanted and what was right for me, So I think that's what's important for us to teach our kids as well.
Yeah, I do too. How does it feel to see that in print?
Yeah, it's quite. I was actually, just before we came on, I was kind of getting a little bit emotional, thinking this is actually the first time, I think, since it's been in print stuff that I've kind of sat and gone, yeah, okay, like I can't, like, I did the post, I was like, yeah, I've done it, but I think this is the moments before here, I was kind of like, yeah, I actually did it. Like, it feels so like it's all been a bit of a rush and stuff since writing it and everything, and now it's kind of, I get to sit there and really take it in.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, congratulations to you, because you're in the 2% of the population that do become published authors, and that's a very small minority in the world. It has increased. It used to only be 1%, but the recent events in the world have made a lot more people actually sit back and decide to become published, and I think that that's something that is important. And Adaire says this is brilliant and needs to get out to as many mothers as possible. It's
100%.
Yeah, it is. And I think that, that's one of the reasons that we're doing this, and we're sharing it on Amazon. And if you want to pop over to Amazon Live, you can do that, and you can grab a copy of your book, and it's available in both paperback and ebook. And you don't need to have a Kindle to read an ebook, which was something that was a revelation for me when I first contributed to a multi-author book.
Me too.
Yeah, you can read it anywhere. So grab your copy. The link is in the comments, and you can grab your copy. If you're here live, please do say hello to us, and if you watch back the replay, give us a hashtag replay and ask us some questions.
I think also it's a good book for people who are thinking about becoming mums as well. So not necessarily just mums. I think it's good for all women who are considering it as well, because there's just so many different ways of how it can go.
Yeah, that is so true, isn't it? And it's I have a niece who is pregnant, and I've actually purchased a copy and posted it to her and said, you need to read this book before you have the baby. We'll give you some insight.
yeah, exactly.
Oh dear.
Yeah, because it makes you feel not alone when you're in those moments going like, like that you know you're not alone and other people have gone through it too, because it can take some of the self-judgment off yourself because you're like, okay, yeah, that happened to her, so it's okay.
Yeah, Linda has said absolutely go in with your eyes open. So grabbing a copy of the book will help you to do that.
Yeah.
In a big way. Adaire has said, can you fast forward 15 years and imagine your child reading your book? How do you think they may react? How do you think Caleb might react to that? Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I think he'll know how special he is. And like the process to get to bring him here, like mentally for me, like the growth in me, the decision, and then just raising him, by myself, and the kind of man I want him to become. I think he'll really appreciate the book and me publishing his story. So
what a blessing though. You've left a legacy for your family forever. The story is, it's a legacy now forever that is written, because often, the stories get lost through generations, and this will never get lost because he will have it and pass it down through his family, I'm sure. And I think he will feel proud and in a way honoured that he has had this opportunity to be brought into the world in this way, and his mum actually chose him in a completely different way to how some of us choose to show up as mothers. So good on you, Sarah, and thank you for sharing the story in F Motherhood. And I hope more people read your story and learn from it.
Thank you for having me in the book. It was awesome.
My pleasure. Children of these authors will get deeper understanding of who their mothers are, Adaire has said, and that is so true. And I think that one of the other authors previously actually shared that it was Carly, her child her eldest read the story, and she said the connection between the two of them has grown stronger since. So that's a lovely thing that's occurred from.
And I think there'll be a lot of like children who they'll understand a bit more, like what, there might be a time where their mum was like, whatever was going on, and they're like, why was mum like that? And when they get older and read the story, they might think back and be like, oh, that makes sense now. That's why, and you're like, you're saying that connection will be a bit stronger for them.
Yeah, that is so true. Actually, I need to get my boys to read it. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Sarah, I would like to let you go now. I know you've got another appointment to get to, and I would like to welcome another author on to chat with me. So thank you for being with us today. And I just wanted to read a little bit about our next author, is Meagan Caesar. And Meagan spent the majority of her life trying to fit into other people's boxes, and then she became a mum. Suddenly, these little people needed an advocate and a model for living healthy, fulfilled lives, so she found her voice for them. In doing so, she found her identity, her power, and realised she wasn't a mum who fit the mould of society, of what society dictated, and she wasn't just a mum. Meagan is a mama to Audrey and Harvey and a wife to Pete, an online entrepreneur, a personal branding mentor, a high school teacher, and a passionate low-tox living advocate. She's knowing how tough the path to owning your own voice and rediscovering your identity through martyrs, and I can't say that word properly, I'm sorry, Meg. But she is following her intuition and can be so much external pressure coming in, especially as a new mum. So I'd like to welcome Meg. So thank you for joining us, Meg. You are amazing mother, an amazing mentor, and amazing at branding. And, I've had the pleasure of having you do some branding in the F Motherhood book. And I think that it's amazing that the story that you share in the book, I would like you to share with everyone. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. And that word is matrescence.
I know. Yeah. Every time I read it, I go, yeah. Thank you.
So I think for me, my story was all about Audrey had a lot of allergies, and that was the beginning of all of it for me. So when I became a mum, I just had all of the usual things that everyone thinks, you know, what motherhood is going to be like. And I had a preconceived idea of how, you know, I was going to mother and what sort of mother I was going to be. And then we had Audrey's allergy journey and a lot of other issues in the early months. And that totally flipped how I thought I would mother. And I realized that it was going to be a lot more challenging for me personally in terms of my personal growth as a mother than what I had ever considered. And I always say that motherhood has just completely changed my life. It's not just brought children into my life and changed it in that way that you assume it's going to change, but in just totally opening my life up and my mind and just myself up to a completely different way of living. So it's been transformational in all aspects.
So were you a high school teacher full-time before you had children?
Yes.
And now you work in that as a part-time role?
Yes, I do. So once I had kids, I decided that I wanted to be more present. So the first year back, and this, I talk about this a little bit in the book, that the first year back to work, I went back full-time after Audrey, and I describe it as brutal. It was just, I felt like I was just stretched to the limit in every single area. I was failing in every area. I wasn't doing well as a teacher. I wasn't doing well as a wife. I wasn't doing well as a mother. And I wasn't like anything for myself was completely non-existent. So I felt just, I didn't understand how this could be sustainable or why this should be how mothers have to live. And I saw so many other friends having the same struggles, or I was lucky I had a year off because of the leave that I was able to access. But I had friends that went back when their kids were 4 months old, and they went back to full-time work, and they struggled with that because they wanted to be home, but financially they couldn't. And so all of that led me to decide that I wanted to pursue something else online. And I tried a few different things, and I looked for different options. And then, you know, I've slowly kind of I've been finding my niche. And now I can balance. I love teaching, and so I get to do that 2 days a week in school, and then I also get to be home with the kids the rest of the time. And I'm also beginning to teach like the online sort of things and the personal branding side of things, which I'm really enjoying and exploring now. And that's all come about, a lot of that, through the book.
Yeah, and I think that I love that where you say it was brutal. And I think somebody else said the same thing. Linda has said that word says it all, was brutal. I think that you did use some language there as well, that it is, you said you were failing. And I know so many mothers think that they're doing this. You're not actually failing. You're just you're finding your feet in all the different areas where you've got to fit, and all those hats that we have to wear as mothers and wives and businesswomen and school teachers and, you know, whatever it is that your profession is, and then going, well, let's reevaluate this. Is this really where I want to be? And that's what you did, didn't you?
And it really made me have to step up. I had to step up and say what I actually wanted and what I needed. And before that, I had very much been someone who, as you read out in my little intro, I was a people pleaser. I sat in everyone else's box and I did what everyone else expected of me. And I think there's probably a lot of people who would say that I've always been a little bit not quite comfortable in that space.
Yeah.
And that there's always been those moments where I've like pushed back, but then I've always retreated back and done what everyone else has thought I should do. And motherhood allowed me to go, no, not doing that anymore. I'm going to actually do what I need. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I need to do this not only for myself, but also for my kids. And so I think that was a huge transformational journey for me. And I'm still on that journey. It's not an easy thing to move from that people pleasing space into fully owning your voice and your power. But I think without motherhood, I don't know if that would have ever been triggered in the way that it has to get to this point, because I feel like motherhood helped me realize how much strength I have just in all aspects, in terms of my physical body, as well as my mental strength, as well as my my ability to voice my opinion and really hold on to that and not back down. So
yeah, and I think that that's true. You know, it does help you to find your voice, because you need to become the advocate for the children, and they, you know, because they don't have a voice for quite some time, and you've got to be able to speak up for them. So then it makes you think, oh, hang on a minute, am I speaking up for me too? Am I taking time for me? Am I putting me first? And everybody knows that if mum is, you know, not happy, then usually that sets the tone for the whole household. Would you agree?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So just a few comments we've received. Linda has said, I can relate to that, having to go back to work when Bub was 5 months old. Yeah, it is difficult for some women. For me, it was a celebration that I hid from everyone, which is part of my story in the book. And Adaire, sorry, Linda has also said that feeling of failing is so prevalent, and it is. Yeah, it's awful that so many women think that they are failing when they go into motherhood, and this book allows the opportunity. So I implore you to get over to Amazon and purchase your copy. The links are in the comments there, and putting it up on the screen now. You can go over to Amazon and find the F Motherhood book. You just search for it in your location, or use the link that's in the comments, and you can grab your copy. So
I think, can I add to that? Because I think that fits really well with what Sarah said about the highlight reel, because it's a silent failing for a lot of mums. It's not something that they talk about because they feel ashamed, because they feel like they should have it all together. Yeah, exactly. And so we don't always talk about it. And so other mums don't realise that everyone at some point feels the same way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I loved about this book, is that it really does show so many different versions of motherhood. So it lets people know, lets women know, lets mothers know that it's not just you, and you can do it however you want to do it.
Yeah, that's right. One of the authors actually said, I think it was Dana, she said she couldn't not be in the book because of the title, but the title wasn't about, you know, getting to that. For me, it wasn't about, when I first came, the title dropped in, wasn't about not wanting to be a mother. It was about the struggle of being a mother and not being able to talk about it. And that's, you know, wanted to disrupt society and be able to, you know, get people to pay attention to the fact that this is not talked about enough. And, you know, like you said, finding your voice is something that happens, but some mothers still suppress it because of their society or their religion or their, you know, cultural beliefs or whatever it is however they've been brought up, or even their past lives, what's come through for them, and they're, you know, keeping that going because it's what they're supposed to do, rather than using their own thoughts and feeling and their intuition and becoming the mother that they want to be. Yeah. Love it. Adaire has said, my last child was 6 weeks old and I just stepped up into a corporate management role. I wish I knew this back then. He's 19 now and, in brackets, reasonably well balanced. I missed the time with him. Yeah, and that's so common to hear stories like that, isn't it, Meg?
It is. And I think I love how she says reasonably well balanced, because I feel like and this was something that was in my first draft of my chapter, but obviously with the word limit, I ended up cutting it out, and it's probably a story for another time. But with Audrey, she was in daycare 3 days a week, and then she had 2 days a week with my parents, who lived 45 minutes away, and she would stay overnight with them. And when I went back to work, she'd just turned 1. So she was having 1 night a week away from me, and she was fully breastfed and we co-slept, and so that was a big thing for her and I. But I think that we're still dealing with some of the separation issues from that, and I felt guilty because I felt relieved to have that 1 night a week where I knew I could get some sleep, or I knew I could get the work done that I needed to prep for school, or, you know, just anything. And so there was so much guilt there, but that was the way that we had to do things to kind of juggle it all. And I think now that we're still dealing with, I think that's shaped a lot of her emotional responses to things, because daycare didn't go very well. We had a lot of issues there, and then she was away from me 1 night a week. And I think from that was the point on that we really started seeing some of the issues where I had to really step up and advocate for her and decide, you know, what direction we were going to go in. Do I listen to what everyone else is telling me, which goes against everything that I am feeling is the right thing to do? Or do I go with my gut and I seek other support from other people, other professionals who are able to help support us in the way that I believe is the right way for her?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an interesting time.
I would agree. My eldest also has separation issues still, and he's 15. And I went back to work when he was 3 months old, cheering inside my body and in my head and pretending to cry externally to meet the society's expectations of what I thought they wanted to see. And you know, he still struggles with that, and his emotional responses to things are definitely related back to that. And had I been able to talk about this, and had I been able to approach that in a different way with him, you know, this could have been different. So really strongly encourage people to get a copy of the F Motherhood book from Amazon and use the links that are in the comments and be able to read the stories and not only relate to them, but find opportunities for yourself to be able to change how you're doing things and, you know, do it in a way that is better for you and better for your children. And I think that that's the great gift that this book is for people. Meg, can you tell me, did you have, during the writing process, did you have any aha moments, or was there, when you were reading the book, an aha moment you had throughout the process?
I think, firstly, for me, the aha moment in writing it was just how far I've actually come. Because I think when you're in that transformation and you're in the journey and you're doing all the work, you don't always see how much progress you've made. And then as I was writing, I was like, looking back at where I had been when I started, or even before, you know, in our trying to conceive journey, and then looking at where I am now, it was just incredible to see that progression. So that was a big aha moment for me. And I loved that about reading everyone else's stories, because there were all these growth journeys and all of these women who had made these beautiful transformations and these realizations and have started these healing journeys for their own families. But we're now rippling that out, and we're allowing, through other people reading our stories, for them to have their own healing journeys. And I feel like that's a really powerful thing. So I think that was my aha moment with the book, as I'm reading everyone else's stories, going, wow, this is incredibly powerful. And we can have such an amazing ripple effect, because the more people share and the more people go, hey, I read this amazing book, you should try it, or they give it away as a present for a new mum, or those sorts of things. It just spreads wider and wider. And I think the effect is going to be amazing.
I did do something a little different in this book by with the paperback. You're able to get in touch with the authors quite easily, because we put a barcode in, so you can just scan the barcode and that gets you in touch with the author. That you know, you can learn more about them, you can learn what they do, and you can actually connect with them on a different level. And I think that that's, you know, a unique thing that we've introduced at the Art of Grace Publishing House, to be able to connect to the authors. So if you're interested, when you read somebody's story, that you want to find out more about them, or you would be interested in working with them, it's a great way to connect. So jump on over to Amazon and grab your copy. Meg, can you tell me, being a published author, does it feel different? Like that night, did you have to still cook dinner and look after the kids and talk to your husband, or did you get, you know, all these requests for interviews and life changed overnight and the gardener started and the cook started?
I think maybe a little bit of both. Well, probably more so than normal life version, but my husband and I went out for dinner to celebrate, so that was a big deal for us, which was amazing. I think it was something I've always loved writing. Like as a kid, I was a prolific reader. I was always had a book with me, and I always was writing poems or stories or whatever. But it was one of those things that, again, with what I felt like I had to do in terms of to please people and make people proud, was that wasn't a dream that I could pursue. And so it was sort of one of those things where, that was a childish thing that I loved to do, and I haven't done it for a long time. And when the book opportunity came up, it was like, I feel like this is one of those moments where if I say yes, this is the next stage. This is the next part of the journey. This is me claiming everything that I said that I've done, you know, in my transformation journey. And it's a little bit of a test to see if I'm really actually going to step into that version of me that I say that I'm, you know, working towards and working on. Because, yeah, being an author has always been a dream for me, and it was something that I never thought would happen pre, you know, all of this, all of motherhood and all of my growth journey. But through all of that, I realized that I can actually, like, there's no reason that I can't pursue any of that, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about it. So I think that was probably the biggest part that changed, that I realized what was possible. So if I can do anything I really want to try.
Absolutely. It's so true. You can, can't you? And that's, you know, you're really stepping into that new way of living, and that new, you know, the idea that you had around the branding, and being able to bring that to other people is great. And that service is, you know, really necessary, because a lot of people still struggle with it. Even though Canva is a brilliant tool, some people still struggle to use it, and so much easier than Photoshop, but it's, you know, still a struggle for some people like me to use. And it's, you know, a growth thing that you've had, and you're able to offer that service to the world. I really appreciate that you step up and do that. So just a few comments that we've received. Linda says she loves the connection point in the book. It's such a brilliant idea. And Adaire also said, what a fabulous idea, having a QR code for each author. Now everyone knows how to use it. And as a side note, Linda has said, F Motherhood has just sold out in her hometown. It's in the local bookstore in Darwin, and they've asked her to drop in more copies, as it's proving very popular. So that's brilliant. Our stories and our ripple effect in the world are going further and further, and right now they're rippling through Darwin, which is brilliant. Thank you, Linda, for taking it down to the bookstore. But you can grab your copy on Amazon and read our stories and learn from our, you know, our triumphs and our, I wouldn't say trauma, but some of it is traumatic, but our journeys, and be able to, you know, change the way that you do motherhood. Thank you so much for being with us, Meg. Is there anything else you'd like to share with anyone that I haven't given you opportunity to today?
No, I just want to reinforce, just get it out there as much as you can. Like, I've given away so many as gifts for people having babies and things like that. I think it's so important for new mums or mums trying to conceive to get this early, because they won't have that. They'll have the permission before they start their motherhood journey to do it their way. Whereas I felt like I really had to discover that for myself. And I know everyone will have their own journey in that discovery, but having the permission beforehand and seeing so many amazing women do motherhood in so many different ways, whatever feelings come up for you, or whatever experiences come up for you as a mother, you'll know, having already read this book, that it's totally fine, that it's totally normal to feel however you feel, to experience it however you experience it, and that somewhere in the world another mum is likely having the same experience, or has had the same experience, or gets what you're going through. And I think that's a really powerful thing to understand as a mum, because it can feel so lonely sometimes.
Yes, that is so true. It can feel so lonely. I mean, I felt like I was the only person on the planet who had had a baby and didn't like it.
Yeah.
Didn't like the baby, didn't like the motherhood part. It was the, yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Meg. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today, and I shall see you again soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Our next author is Lucy Jean Grace, and Lucy is a solo mum to a beautiful daughter who is Luna Ruby, and she has her own skincare line as well as her own t-shirt line. Very creative woman who is a very powerful mother, and yes, Lucy is one of those who joined the book, and I was pleasantly surprised to read her story. So welcome, Lucy, and thank you for being with us. It is so lovely to have you.
Thanks for having me. That was really nice. Thank you, Brigid.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So, Luce, can you tell me, how did you come across being in the F Motherhood book?
Well, I got referred through Renee, who I met just online. We just liked some of each other's posts, and then we met up at a kids' play centre, and she read one of my posts, which was kind of about motherhood, and she said, I really think you should join this book, and she, got me in contact with you, and I guess the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, and it's lovely that this connection happens through other authors, and we're able to connect in that way, isn't it? It's something that I think is a win out of being in a multi-author book, is you have this community of women that you may never have met before, and now we're connected forever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The support systems, like, I've never really had one, so I've never really known other mothers. I've kind of always been doing it on my own. So, yeah, just to be around people that, have this kind of open minds and different ways of thinking and expressing themselves. Yeah, it's really been a huge part of my healing.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm glad to hear that. People are saying, hi, Lucy, Linda and Adaire. Hi, Lucy. Luce, can you tell everybody who's listening and who watches back the replay, what is your story about?
My story is about my process of fully accepting my role as a solo parent. It didn't really come easily because I did enter into parenthood thinking I was going to do it with someone else. And yeah, so it was just kind of untangling that kind of structure of thought and just really stepping into my role and owning my role as a solo parent, and enjoying it, and feeling good enough, like feeling like I am enough for my daughter, not feeling like I need, anyone else there. It would be good, don't get me wrong, it would be good, but that hasn't been my journey, so I have to accept, I would have chosen this on some level, so I have to accept it, and I feel very honored. Like, I think being a solo parent's one of the coolest things anyone can do. So yeah, I guess that's kind of my story. And also letting go. I had a lot of mental health kind of stuff, which I thought I'd kind of let go on more at the start of becoming a mum, but it kind of highlighted, becoming a mother kind of highlights all that shadow stuff. So I guess it was kind of releasing from that as well. And just more stepping into like my power as a woman, and as an individual.
I really love that. I find that this is so powerful. From Lucy's chapter, I'm just going to read a short excerpt. I am sinking now. I am falling. I am failing. I can't see where I am going. I am not Lucy anymore. I am no one. I have no idea who I am. I need sleep. But I am finding small parts of myself and slowly sewing these pieces together. I'm almost crying now, Lucy. I cried when I read your chapter, and I think that there's so much connection between women when we share our stories, and that really got me because that was me. And even though I had a husband, he did work away like for the first, I think, 9.5 years of my eldest life. He was away every week. He's probably away 9 months of the year in total and home for 3 in total. It's not all at the same time, but it's something that I didn't expect, to have that connection with solo mum. Like, it was, it was something that I didn't anticipate or expect. And I think that it's beautiful for you to share so deeply. And I'm sure that the feedback that you have received has been phenomenal.
Like a lot. I didn't expect people to connect so deeply with it, because I felt so isolated and alone when I was, feeling all those things. And it's you realize everyone kind of feels it to a lesser or greater extent. And a lot of women are solo parenting, even though they have partners, because their partners work away or, do night shifts or whatever. So I realize, like, I'm not alone, even though, I don't have someone. People always go through, these stages as well. So it's helped me, definitely.
Yeah, I love that. And Liz, can you tell me, did you have an aha moment through the process or through the reading of the book? What was your aha moment that you took away from F Motherhood?
I guess just feeling more of a unity with women. So, and, I read my chapter 3 times. I knew I wanted to do the book. I just didn't know where to start. And every single time I rewrote it, I let go of more trauma and integrated, you know, different things into myself. And if I was to write it again now, I'd write it completely different. I look back at it and I think, whoa, I've completely changed. You know, it's only been a few months. So that's a version of myself that existed in the past. You know, that girl's not even present anymore. But you know, reading it and connecting with everyone else's story, it's like, you know, just this feeling of like kind of like unity, like all women feel this. This just isn't spoken about. Everyone kind of, you know, it's like, oh, how's the baby? It's all like fun and games and happiness and they're so cute, but no one really talks about the hard stuff. And, you know, I think there's a lot more hard stuff than there is happy, you know, fun times. And I think, you know, you should definitely tell someone when they're thinking about having a baby. Like, I think it's a good idea to give this book to people that are planning to conceive or are pregnant because they need it. Like, it should be a standard book that women should read because it's not all just happy times as everyone kind of portrays. Yeah.
And I think most of the motherhood books that are out there talk about practicalities. They don't talk about the emotional or the mental health state that you go through or the way that your body changes or how you're going to function when you've got no sleep or how, you know, if the baby has attachment issues when you're breastfeeding, what that feels like. And, you know, all those things, they're not talked about enough. So I think you're right. It is a great handbook. Just some comments that we've got here. Linda has said she loves the community that the Art of Grace Publishing House is creating. So powerful, connected and supportive. And thank you, Linda. It is. And, you know, it's one of my intentions to have that for women to have that connection. And especially through the motherhood book, the connection between mothers is something that I sought because I couldn't find it in my own community, and it was a beautiful way to connect with mothers. And Linda has always said that it is such a good point. Even in partnership, women are often alone in mothering. Her partner was working shift work for most of the time that her kids or their kids were little, and that, yeah, it does make it difficult. And it is, like Lucy said, a lot of parents are solo parenting even though their partner is with them. And Linda also says she agreed it's mandatory reading, much better than had to expect when you're expecting. Then the book. Oh, right. Well, it has its place, Linda. So all books have their place, and I certainly don't disagree with you, but each book has its place. Adaire said, Linda, our paths are parallel. My son's dad was off with his mistress job much of the time. Oh dear, you are so funny. Oh dear. Lucy, can you tell me when you became a mother, that struggle that you had in the beginning to accept, I'm not sure how early on in Luna's life that it occurred you became a solo parent, but that struggle that you had on in the beginning, did that exacerbate mental health issues for you, or was it something that actually brought on the mental health issues for you?
I feel like the mental health issues were always there. I feel like there's so many contributing factors to it, like lack of sleep, lack of support. What was the question again?
Did motherhood and you becoming a solo parent exacerbate your mental health issues, or were they always there?
Yeah.
Just the catalyst that brought them to the surface.
Yeah, it definitely just shone a light on them to a deeper level. Which then gave me the opportunity to heal from them. So I'm grateful for the experience. That's why, you know, you're not grateful when you're in it because you're like, this is effed. Yeah. But, you know, when you are out of it and you've built that internal strength and you've healed, you know, you realize exactly why you chose that partner, exactly why you chose that situation, exactly why, you know, you're doing this alone. And yeah, I'm honored that Luna chose me to be her mum and that she, you know, stood beside me as I worked through all my shit, really. Like, she's a strong little girl. Like, I'll always, you know, have so much respect for her and just thank you for being there next to me because, you know, no one else has done that, you know.
Oh, that unconditional love is just something that you can't explain until you experience it. Isn't that right?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Did your side business or your business come as a result of becoming a mum?
I've always been in business since I was young. So I've never really gone into mainstream work. So I guess I kind of developed it. Another little business that I could do from home within the limitations that I had of having Luna. I've just started like another aspect of my business now. I've started doing healing work with people,
Brilliant.
which is always what I've wanted to do. That's been my whole journey. This whole time, I've always wanted to work with people on a deeper level. And I finally, just over the last few weeks, finally stepped into that role. So, yeah, that's something I'm really excited to explore more and, yeah, help people with, their issues, because I've been through so much mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and I just want to, now I've kind of consolidated everything I know. I just want to basically share that with other people.
Well, I could certainly say that throughout the journey of the book that you've definitely grown, because you would have been afraid to get on an interview like this at the beginning, and you speak so eloquently, and you're great at talking about your story. And I think that you've got to give yourself credit for how far you've come. And like you said, your story, if you wrote it now in the F Motherhood book, it would be a different story. And I think that that's a credit to how far you've come. So, kudos to you for that.
Thanks, Brigid. Yeah. I'm still surprised at how far I've come. Like, I feel it every day. I wake up like, whoa, this is my life. This is who I am now. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah. And your skincare range and your t-shirts are still accessible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've got a few more products on my website. Yeah. And I'm growing it. I've got another shirt coming out, a starseed shirt, which I worked on with an artist. So,
Nice.
yeah, it's all spiritual kind of stuff. That's my little theme. But yeah, so that should be coming out soon. And then I've got more t-shirts kind of that I'm planning on working on in the future. Yeah.
Well, I implore people to read your chapter solo, whether you are a solo mum or not. You will connect with Lucy. She has definitely got insight into motherhood that it was a surprise to me, and a pleasant surprise, because it was something that I connected with. And Linda has said, woohoo, celebrating you, Lucy, Jean, Grace. It's so awesome. Meag has commented, I love that this book gives us all permission to follow our interests, passions, desires, and pursue our dreams as women, not feel held back or restricted because of motherhood. That's amazing. Adaire's asked the question, are you selling your wares on Amazon?
Am I selling my what?
Your t-shirts and your skincare line on Amazon.
No, can I do that?
You need to talk to Adaire to work out how to do that.
All right, wicked. There we go. More opportunity.
And Linda is scanning your QR code now to check out your products. So that's awesome. Man. Thank you, Linda.
Thanks, Linda.
Is there anything, Lucy, that you would like to share that you haven't had opportunity to today?
No, not really. Just really grateful for you, Brigid, for giving me this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you. It's my honour and pleasure. I mean, the women that have been called into this book are amazing, and I applaud every single one of them. And I'm so grateful that we were able to put F Motherhood out into the world to share with others that motherhood is tough, but doing it your way is the best way, and we're able to all come out the other side as brilliant mothers, and our children are well balanced and nice human beings to the most, as Adaire says. Do grab your copy from Amazon, and we thank you for joining us today. We will be back with another author next week, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much, Adaire, for producing the show, to mytimetv.live. We are so glad to be streaming to Amazon Live, through the Binge Network, through LinkedIn and Facebook, and we're grateful for everybody who showed up live and all those who watched the replay. Do reach out to us if you would like to know more information. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
See ya.